everybody, and welcome. Premier Fantasies, our weekend edition. Now, before people say, what on earth is Neil Andrews wearing? Just a reminder, particularly for those of you who might be watching this out of South Africa, that it's our Heritage Day on Thursday. And as a result, my wife said, I cannot come on Premier Fantasies unless I dress like Nkululeko, which is my African name. So this is not a fashion statement, it is Kroflo.
It's not really just me, but it will be the whole of the country tomorrow. And we want to just wish everyone a happy Heritage Day. We hope that you guys enjoy celebrating your heritage, and we hope that you inspire others to celebrate their heritage and find out where they're from.
Well, welcome to the panel. I want to start with Sky at the bottom. I'm only going to welcome him once, Sky. And I was sold down the Swanee because Kroklo said to me you'd be dressed in your traditional heritage attire, but clearly you're saving that for tomorrow. Where's it gone? Ah, very good.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
We thought you were just leaving.
No, I wasn't running away. Don't worry, I wasn't running away. I knew I was missing something, and as soon as you started talking about what you're wearing, I was like, oh, snap. It's right here. Like, it's right here.
Well, welcome to you, and congratulations to you and James, because as the log stands at the moment, you're topping our group, our challenge, our celebrity challenge, as you were, in Comfortably Clear, but you're second overall, Sky.
Yeah, you know what? After the start, we had not the bad start, but just the fourth and on of like arguing about Vardy, arguing about those players. I gave James the team for this game week, and I must say he spent more time on our team than he did on his own personal team, because that's one of the other reasons he's not shy. He's got a couple of fines to do, which are due in the next 30 minutes. So shout out to James for taking one literally for the team on his side.
I just want to welcome back from Klop Klop. Hello, Liam.
Hello, it's good to be here. Thank you. You're not going to ask me what
to have you back.
Please don't.
Are you not sure?
Well, I am sure. The problem is, as per usual with most, as is the case with most public holidays, I'll be working. So it's almost as if it didn't happen. But I promise you, if a springbok does trot down the road and it jumps over the fence here, it will end up on my braai. That much I can say.
Your partner in crime is headed off to Cape Town to her family, hey, I believe. So you're flying solo tonight.
Absolutely. Crime being the operative word there, I think.
We're going to come and talk about your team. I don't mind talking to Sky and Liam because I think that they've done well. But as Stretford tinkerers will attest to, I've been just poking them in sensitive areas for the last 72 hours. So I'm pleased that Gabriel and Keegan, you have joined us, because I was being a bit facetious, wasn't I, with your Stretford tinkerers?
Yeah, I think unfortunately it was quite a rough game week for us. If we look at our team, we were fairly happy with the team we put out, but yeah, I think it was just not one of those game weeks for us. And having transferred out one of our Spurs assets, I mean, yes, it was Dele Alli, so he didn't play. But bringing in Bruno Fernandes, we thought he would hit the ground running, and he just never did. So, it was so disappointing.
Yeah, something about Manchester United, they always let you down.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that lays down. I don't know about that. But Gabriel, it wasn't as Clark was kind of alluding to, it wasn't an auspicious start for Manchester United. So I'm leaving Fantasy Premier League out of the equation for a moment and broadening the conversation to Manchester United. And I know Sky's a big United supporter as well. What you saw, you couldn't really have enjoyed. I don't know whether Ole is on the right track, but it was a disappointing display and probably not what United fans wanted to see.
It was quite dreadful, if I can put it in nice words. I think that there were so many problems from on the field to just the tactical setup. I just think it just wasn't working. It was dull to watch as well. which was extremely disappointing considering the caliber of players that we have. But also, as Ole pointed out as well after the game, it took a while for some of the players to get into it. Something that was very puzzling to me was the fact that Pogba actually played, coming off of just having healed from the coronavirus. Even if he was feeling healthy and whatnot, it's still something that affects you maybe a couple of weeks after you have recovered from the virus. So just so many odd decisions in terms of the game, the players, the tactics, and hopefully the next game week is not like that.
That's a very interesting observation. I agree with you 100%. They were very, very hard to watch during this game week. But something very interesting has happened within our league. We've had a 3-digit week for some people. And specifically, I want to bring the leader in our game week, which is Daniel Montero. His team clocked 114 points. And I'm about to let him in. Let's welcome Daniel.
Do we welcome him with a round of applause, or do we give him thumbs down? Because we got well, what about us? We spent the whole week saying we're going to interview ourselves, and then of course we had to interview Daniel. So we're welcoming him in, but nevertheless, it's quite an interesting story. So Daniel, which one is you? There you are.
Hey!
Hello, we'll give you a round of applause. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome, Daniel. Well done.
It's good to have you in here, Daniel. Welcome. We saw what looked to me like Sporting Lisbon colours. I don't know. What was that team we saw your photo of?
That's I'm a coach, so part-time I coach for Sporting Lisbon, the academy here in Bedfordview.
So I was right. I was quite to see. I clocked Sporting Lisbon colours. Daniel, welcome. We've mixed feelings welcoming you here because obviously you've outshone everybody with the exception of Kloklo and I, who had a very good game week. We were appalling in game week 1. Game week 2, we were only 1 point behind you, and we thought we were going to interview ourselves until we saw your score. But 114, how did you do it?
Look, we know how football goes. It's anyone's game, and it was just one of those weekends.
So take us through the players. Well, in fact, I'm going to bring Keegan in here because he studied your team. So, Keegan, you were telling us, I don't know whether he's going to cut and paste next week, but he told us that you managed to do it with actually 4 players, Keegan, that never got any points.
Yeah, basically, I was looking at Daniel's team and he had, Kepa in goals, who conceded against Liverpool. Then you got Tarkowski, who got no points. Marcel, who got 1. Then Martial got 2 points. And the rest of his team all did well. He captained James Rodriguez, he had Son, he had Mane, he had Zaha, he had Calvert-Lewin, who all got good double-digit hauls. So I think the fact of the matter is any other game week, it could have gone any other way. Son, if you look at him in game week 1, it could have gone completely the opposite direction. And even Spurs in the first half, I was like, geez, okay, this is looking a bit, slow. And then out of nowhere, I don't know what energy drink you gave them in the halftime dressing room, but it seems to really work for them.
Looking at your team, nobody could have predicted that Son would put together 24 points and that he would be assisted by Cade. That was just an anomaly.
Daniel, did you have Son and Kane, or you just had Son, eh?
No, he had Son and Rodriguez.
Yeah, so my midfield 4 was Zaha, Mane, Rodriguez, and then Son.
And what made you put your team together that way? What made you structure it that way?
Look, basically tried not to get too many players from the same squad. My exception was obviously Alexander-Arnold and Mane, because last year we saw how many points a lot of those Liverpool players gathered. And then I just had a feeling that Rodriguez would link quite nicely with Calvert-Lewin, because Rodriguez is obviously one of Ancelotti's favourites, but Lewin also improved immensely under Ancelotti last season.
So Daniel, very quickly, because this is a trend that we're trying to sort of help with people going forward. Gabriel and Keegan can give us their opinion in a moment, and Sky and Liam likewise. Did you tinker much with your first week, or did you stick by it? Because we got 113, right? We were one behind you, but we had about a 48-hour debate on whether we should panic and use our wild card. Now, had we panicked and used our wild card, Kane and Son would have been thrown out, and we would have had an average week. So my question to you is, did you have the same side in week one, or did you actually adopt a few changes?
In week one, let me just pull it out here. In week one, I had, because obviously United and City didn't play. So
yes,
Martial didn't play in week one, so I had Declan Rice in the midfield. And then I had Vokins, who didn't even come on. And then with this week, I had purchased Tarkowski, who didn't even land up playing. And then I captained Rodriguez.
Okay.
Well, you did fantastically well, Daniel. Congratulations on a wonderful game week. People who did not have such a hot game week, let's start with Liam. What have you got to say for yourself? Plop, plop.
Well, by my standards, I thought it was okay. I mean, I think of myself as a rookie. So I also resisted the temptation to make wholesale changes, because I figured if you get it wrong at the start, you need to suffer. You need to suffer the pain, the first couple of weeks, because if you're going to commit error like that, you need to pay the penalty. So as it were. I just brought in James Rodriguez. That was the only change I made, and that kind of worked out. I wasn't too displeased with the points all.
Look, jokes aside, you got 79 points, which is not bad at all. I mean, we've seen worse, so it was actually quite good. I was just
Stop smirking, Neil.
But going forward, what is your strategy?
I will, in the next few weeks, I have to make a few changes. But then I also noticed that things are quite fluid in terms of the scheduling. I've just noticed that Liverpool's next couple of games will be impacted with, I'm sure they won't be the only team because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Right.
So that's something to keep an eye on. So some of the changes I envisage for this weekend may be put on hold. I'll have to see. I mean, because obviously some teams will have an easier run over the next 3 games, and others may have a more difficult run, and you sort of base your strategy on that. But it's also then key to look at those fixtures and those changes.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because Sky, we're all on social media. We noticed on Tuesday night, because we're both Spurs fans, that the match with the Leyton Orient didn't go ahead because they had COVID issues.
Yeah.
And then I think last night, West Ham, it's been announced that David Moyes and a couple of players have got COVID. So this is going to be at the best of times, it's tough to pick a side. But Sky, you now got to start checking social media to check if your squad is clear and if they're going to play, because obviously that's going to be a factor.
Yeah, well, funny enough, when the Spurs thing, well, not the Spurs thing, when the West Ham United thing came up last night, Mr. Story James called me and said, well, Arsenal played Spurs this weekend. Have you heard anything from Arsenal? And then I saw a statement from Arsenal today saying that all their players tested on Monday, I think, and everyone is clear. So I think maybe an Aubameyang, who's probably one of the 2 Arsenal players you would have in your team, Aubameyang and Lacazette or something, or Ceballos. So maybe those were the players who would be affected and stuff. But I mean, other players that were not probably exposed to the coronavirus, but did play like they were exposed to the coronavirus is the lads from Manchester United. So big questions about a Martial, a Bruno Fernandes. I don't understand why Wan-Bissaka was on the bench, Did he have symptoms? I don't know. You just blame COVID for all of it. I don't know. So, it will affect stuff going forward, but hopefully not too much.
Okay, I want to ask, but actually, I'm going to let Flo ask the diplomatic questions of Manchester United fans, all of them on the left-hand side of the screen as we look at them, because Keegan, Gabriel, and Sky are all Manchester United fans. I wanted to find out from Daniel. Daniel, what team do you actually support?
I'll support Tottenham.
Oh, another Tottenham. Well, I don't know if it's that. Well, I'm going to ask, it's quite interesting, Daniel, that you asked that, because I feel that Manchester United fans are in the same ballpark that Spurs fans were week one when we lost at home to Everton, and we were all thinking doom and gloom.
Yeah.
And even at half time, as Keegan said, it wasn't looking great. And then all of a sudden, Kane's dropped off and turned supplier, 4 assists for Son, and we've won 5-1. But last week, we were all thinking, well, I know I was thinking, I hope we lose our next 5 games and say bye-bye to Jose Mourinho. So the question I kind of wanted to ask of Keegan and Gabriel and Sky, I mean, let's be honest here. Gabriel, where is Ole in this? Is he tactically astute enough to take you to another level? Or as fans, are you saying enough is enough and we need to move on?
Look, personally, I feel that it's a major problem. It's a bigger problem that's going on at Manchester United. The fans are quite right with regards to the board and the financial side of things. So at the end of the day, that's the major problem going on. With that being said, on the field side of things, I do believe that Ole is a manager who does need to improve. Knowing that we don't have the players that he wants coming in, he needs to use what he has. And it almost seems like he's not focusing on those players that he has, as he's waiting for other players to come into the squad. And doing that is at the detriment of the squad, because now nobody's playing to their full potential. Now, in saying that, it's sort of as if he's busy building a squad and building a system and whatever need be to cater for players coming in, and the players that we have, they're just not playing at their best. Playing Rashford on the wing, for example, it's not good. It's not feasible. We only have one winger in the squad, one actual winger in Daniel James, yet he's playing formations with wingers all the time. Why? Rather play in a system or play a way that's going to accommodate the players that you do have, and then work according to that. So, yes, there is major problems outside of on the field, but on the field, I do think that he definitely needs to improve.
I agree with you, Gabriel. I think from our side, I don't even know if what happened with Jose Mourinho this weekend and with how Spurs played was a turn for the best or just a fluke. Exactly. So we will just have to wait and see. But in the meantime, before we let everyone go, I want to remind everyone that this is an interactive show. So to find you, Daniel, was like looking for a needle in a haystack. So in future, guys, please make sure that you like, comment, and share. Make sure that you put your names out there so that we're able to find you on social media, so that it's not such a mission to get you on the show when your team does well. But other than that, don't forget to follow the channel, because we will be uploading content every single day for you so that you're able to prepare for your game weeks going forward.
Can I ask one question before everybody goes? I know a lot of people, Sky's got indoor football coming up, but I want to know quickly, without giving away all your tactics on the weekend, is there anybody that you've eyed? And I'll be honest, so for me, I think it's Podence, the Wolves player. Yeah. Really like the Wolves player. I'm going to try and find a space. I don't know. I've got to convince my wife on the team to get rid of somebody. But for me, I want to put Podence in because I know they lost to Manchester City, but I was very impressed. So starting with Sky, is there 1 or 2 players that you think you and James are thinking of trying to get into your squad?
Yeah, we've identified our 2 targets because we saved obviously a transfer from last week. We also have about 1.5 more in the bank. So we are getting rid either of Mr. Ings, Wilson, and who's the third striker? I forgot who's our third striker. And then in the midfield, big call, and we're going to say it now. Aubameyang is out, and we're putting in KDB. Aubameyang is out, fortunately. So I just don't see him being that wide with the run of fixtures they have. I think they play Liverpool. It's not too easy. So he's going to be out, and up front, it's not a secret. You can see our teams anyway. Up front, Jimenez is coming in, but I don't know who's coming up front. So Jimenez in and KDB, and out Aubameyang, and probably who's the other striker? Wait, I have to look here. Okay, our other striker is Mitrovic. Yes, Mitrovic out. Yeah, so Mitrovic is going out, yeah.
interesting change there. Daniel, on your team, any big changes, any big moves and transfers?
Look, I've given Kepa benefit of the doubt, which
Sure.
I'm not too sure how long I can do that.
That's brave.
And then I might need to change a defender because, Cancelo hasn't been playing, Vokins hasn't been playing, and Tarkowski now. I've been hearing a little bit about him, so I might need to get another solid defender in there.
Okay, so defensive changes for you. What about, I know Liam can't do anything until Marcel comes back from Cape Town, so this is like a wishy-washy question for you, but what do you think Marcel's going to do to your team?
Well, she does control the purse strings, so yeah, she's the director of football. I'm just the guy who puts out the cones every week. I think she wants Mo Salah in the team, so Aubameyang will have to go. But I think a lot of people will probably go with that anyway. I mean, if you look at Arsenal's next 3 fixtures, they may be potentially tough. So that probably is the smart play. But outside of that, sort of in a wider context, I was kind of looking forward to Luis Suarez coming back into the Premier League, but that's not happening, obviously, because he's going to stay in Spain. But can you imagine him back in the Premier League and with
Sure.
COVID-19 going around? That disease could spread quickly.
With all the biting.
Keegan, on your side, are there any changes, massive changes that you're making?
Like
Yes,
a wild card?
No wild card yet. So Gabriel and I have already chatted about it. We're probably looking at taking out Aubameyang as well, and probably Ward-Prowse. We brought in Ward-Prowse for the beginning just to see how it would go. And at the moment, we're trying to decide between either Sterling or KDB, purely for their attacking outputs. And with KDB looking like he's playing as more of a 10, I think it could be that will swing us. And in terms of our replacement for Ward-Prowse, I think there's a few options. I think Podence is probably one of the cheaper assets to look at. James Rodriguez, Everton have great fixtures moving forward, but I think Wolves for the next 5 or 6 fixtures have brilliant fixtures. So I think looking at the Wolves assets, it could be a great shout, especially with Traore possibly moving further up the pitch with Nelson Semedo coming back into the equation now at Wolves. So I think there's a lot of options in our midfield. So both our changes are going to be coming within our midfield.
Well, I'm very pleased to see that as you're talking, Gabriel is nodding, because I don't want to raise any stories or anything. I know that Sky and James had a very early domestic, but it's all sweet, as it would be if you are second on the log. But no sign of either OG or Barney tonight. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know whether they're wild carding, but where are they on the log? They're last. Not last overall, but they're last at us.
Yeah. So it's not looking good for them, but we'll see what they have to say next week when we bring them back on the show.
Absolutely. Well, that's it. Thank you very much. I want to thank Damien, because out of the blue, like crazy people started contacting him. I think Daniel and Keegan and everybody, thanks very much for joining us. We wish you the best, Daniel. I hope you don't get, I mean this nicely, I hope you don't get 114 points next week, because then you'll embarrass us for a second week in a row. But I'm sure you'll do well. To Sky, to the Stretford Tinkerers, to Liam, to everybody, as Clockwell says, don't forget to enter. If you are stumbling across Cafe Better Sport and watching this, and you already have a Fantasy League team, then we will put up our code, and we'd love you to join, as long as you don't do what our good friend down the bottom here has done, which has got 114 points, Daniel, because that's kind of embarrassing us. So until next week, good luck to all the teams, and good luck to you playing Fantasy Premier League. We'll see you next week on Premier Fantasies.